said, what if I could build a business like that, scale it, teach people a systematic approach? They implement the system. It helps them get free first. I receive an override. They get the biggest chunk of the money, but I get an override. What if I do that 1,000 times? What if I do that 10,000 times? I did that 327,000 times with my previous company. Of course, that's going to pay me millions and millions of dollars. When I made $10 million, though, my team made 100 million. I flipped the script. People like, I said, look, you get the money first. I got this thing set up where I'm going to teach you. I just want a little piece. My friend Brad Lee would say, a piece for my niece. I just want a little slice.
Blueprint. This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it, cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement. Yep.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Respect My Blueprint podcast, where we highlight the successful blueprint of entrepreneurs across all industries. And today I have a very special guest. I'm very excited for today's guest because we are going to tap into the mind, body, as well as how to go ahead and accelerate your income as well, too, with a fitness guru as well as a wellness guru. And I want to go ahead and welcome somebody who I think is going to bring a lot of tremendous value in today's episode, none other than John Malot. How you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great. I was just saying, we finally connect. Took a minute, but I'm glad we did, bro. I've been hearing so many great things about you. I've been checking out some of your shows and what you do. So yeah, man, it's good to finally be on the show with you. Yeah, let's make some magic today, brother.
Thank you, John. You know, of course, I know you're a busy man and everything like that. And of course, the viewers here, you know, in this platform, like I mentioned, you know, on the introduction here, a lot of our audience, they want to tap into influencers and entertainers, entrepreneurs, and tap into their recipe to success. You know, how was they able to make it in their careers and everything, right? So, but before we get into that, you know, I want to go ahead and if you could share everybody, who is John Malot and what has made John Malot special today?
Are you trying to lose your audience? Are you sure you want me to tell them who I am? They're like, dang, why you got this guy on your show?
You know, but hey, well, I'm pretty sure they're going to be impressed by when it's all said and done.
All right, so let me tell you, I don't have all the things that society says you're supposed to have to be successful. You know, society has a way of putting people in boxes. You know, it could be the color of your skin. It could be your gender. In my case, it was my lack of education. My first felony arrest, I was 15 years old. I robbed a movie theater at gunpoint. And anyways, you know, there's a whole long story behind that.
Okay.
But that led to juvenile detention facility. When I was finally released from Milwaukee County Juvenile Detention Center in Wales Boys Home, I was smack dab in what we now know as the crack epidemic. You know, it was
the 80s.
Crack season. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I found myself on the wrong side of that play. You know, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I clearly didn't get the memo. Don't get high on your own supply. Yeah. Funny now, not so funny then. I ended up having a heart attack, man, at 17 years old from smoking, you know, cocaine. We call it freebasing. Today, you know, it's known as crack, but
right.
You know, I end up in and because of circumstances around that. Yeah. I got locked up again because circumstances around that. You know, when you're 17 years old and you got $1,000, you know, plus a week, you know, cocaine habit in the 80s. And you don't have a job, you can only imagine. You know, I never missed a night of getting high. I'll tell you that. It's a testament to the power of the mind when you want something bad enough. When I hear people making excuses, I'm like, bro, I never once made an excuse. It was Tuesday night, I'm getting high. Wednesday night, I'm getting high. I have no money, I'm getting high. It's you know,
Damn.
Sunday morning, I'm still getting high. It didn't matter. I always found a way to feed what I believed I needed. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
And that led me to a drug rehabilitation facility. That really, that was where everything changed for me, man. It was a guy in there by the name of Dave. Yeah, Dave was a former outlaw motorcycle gang member who demanded respect. And Dave held the mirror up to me and he said, look, man, you're being a little bitch. He said, you're here because you belong here, not because of the police, not because your mommy left you. Now all these little things that you want. This is how he talked to me, and I was like, dang, bro. And but he demanded respect, and he was the first guy that he introduced me to entrepreneurship and personal development. He said, the bad news is you made an appointment to be here. That's the bad news. The good news is I'm going to help you make some new appointments. And he gave me a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was 17 years old, locked in DePaul Rehabilitation Center in Milwaukee. And that seed was planted, man. And I wrote a book later on in life with a guy by the name of Les Brown. And Les used to say, once your mind expands, it can never go back to its original dimensions. And that's kind of what happened. I lost my sister to a heroin overdose when she was 21 years old. My brother is still fighting addiction bad and been in and out of prison his whole life. And I ended up taking a different route because of that experience. When I was a teenager, it completely changed my direction in life. So that's the beginning, bro. That's how it began. And that was the first really two redefining moments wrapped into one that put me on the path.
Wow. So you know what? And to obviously, I want to share a little bit about, because you're right, I've fit in that same mold as you where, growing up with the troubled childhood and everything like that, in and out of trouble, end up spending almost a decade in prison, got out, and, really worked to transform my life to, everything that I've built up to currently, right? And, we're going to come back in time again. We're going to revisit this portion of the conversation, but you have went from John Malot, the troublemaking hardhead, right, to now being the leader, mentor, and also CEO of the OSNAP products, which I want you to share. So you have transformed your life dramatically. So if you could share, some of your successes now, although you've shared the hardships, what are some of the successes now that you have accomplished?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of successes outside of business that I really believe shape the successes inside of my business. I finally got my shit together when it came to relationships. I grew up with a steel worker father who was a womanizer, hard drinking, kind of man's man.
Right.
And, he taught me a lot of the wrong things when it came to relationships. So I did a lot of damage in relationships until my daughter was born. And that when you have a daughter, it kind of changes things a little bit. That's man. True. You start realizing, wait a minute, I don't want guys around my daughter like me.
Right.
And so a couple failed marriages. I found myself, really now I feel like I have a successful relationship, successful marriage. I have successful relationships with my daughters. I got 4 daughters. Of course, that's my punishment for being a rotten man for so long. I said, God knows how to pay us back for sure. Right. And but that's where it began. Once I finally got that foundation in place, it allowed me to do much better in other areas. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was not going to go anywhere until I got my relationships right, until I got my health right. I had to get these other pieces. I had to get my mind right before all of it. And then now today, I've done over $1.4 billion in sales around the world. We've built, some of the largest sales organizations on the planet, 327,000, distributors in 8 countries. So I've had a pretty good run financially. We were able to get ahead of the money, which is nice. You can wake up in the morning. I get to sleep until I'm done sleeping now, or until my wife drags me out to go to the gym. But yeah, man, we've had, I've owned a lot of businesses, man. I've had restaurants, I've had nightclubs, I've had mixed martial arts, cage fighting companies, real estate companies, publishing companies. I've done a lot, man. I was determined to not be a bum anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like I did bum really well. I said, no one wants to hire you when you got a colorful past. It's like
that's true.
So the job market. After testing it as a janitor working for General Electric, I said, nah, this ain't for me, man. Scrubbing another man's toilets, paycheck to paycheck, ain't nice.
Ain't having it.
No, I wasn't having it.
Which I want to talk about your latest venture, OSNAP, if I'm not mistaken. That's your baby now. Baby. Yes, if you could highlight that a little bit, it says that'll build the context for the rest of the remainder part of our conversation.
Yeah. So, because I'm in my 50s now, and health and wellness becomes more important to you. And I always say, I used to go from crisis to crisis. When I was 40 years old, I had a major health crisis that got me thinking about the way I eat, the way I drink, the way I treat my body. Because when you're young, man, we can party all night, do whatever we want, and the next day we're up and at 'em again.
Right.
Sooner or later, these things start to build up. And one of my early mentors, Jim Rohn, used to say, the person who survives the heart attack is more likely to go on to live a long, healthy life. It took the heart attack to wake him up to changing the way we eat, to changing the stress in our life. And that kind of happened to me when I was 40 years old. I owned a nightclub. I was pounding Red Bulls by day, Red Bull vodkas by night. I was living that nightclub lifestyle, and it literally almost took me out. Again, I keep having these same type of patterns in my life.
I was gonna say this was at 17. It was the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this was different because now I got kids. I got a lot of reasons. I got business. I got things that are happening. I got a lot of reasons to stick around. And a friend of mine said, because the traditional medical system failed me. Pharmaceutical drugs made my system worse. Now I'm on more drugs. I'm like, dang, this ain't. I don't like this. This is a cycle that I already saw going bad. And a friend of mine said, go see my naturopath. I didn't even know what a naturopath was. I'm like some kind of witch doctor. I'm going to do a bunch of twigs and sticks and berries. And I don't know. Anyways.
Right? Like you some cult or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. But the naturopath completely changed my life. The naturopath introduced me to a whole nother world, man. Herbs and vitamins and minerals. And by the way, the cost to get me well was a fraction of what the pharmaceutical companies were trying to do that didn't work for me.
Really?
And so it changed my life forever. And that became my mission. I'm like, people need to know. All people around me getting fat, people around me unhealthy, I'm watching 20-year-olds, with their testosterone dropping, can't walk up a flight of stairs. I said, I gotta get out here and educate the masses. I'm in my mid 50s now, and I'm in better health and shape than I was when I was 30, and I got a 29-year-old wife that I got to be able to,
keep
things
right?
rolling with. So I got a lot of good reasons, and I got a grandson on the way in a couple of months. So anyway, so what we created was highly absorbable liquid nutrition in a convenient snap pack, about thinner than your credit card, and you simply take it straight to the head, put it to your mouth, snap it like a glow stick. And I just took 18 organic greens, superfoods, neurofactor for the brain, vitamin D, A, B. I got like a whole dose of B vitamins, zinc, selenium, so multivitamins, all in one shot, bro. Because I'm not going to be eating green grass all damn day long. So I made it simple, fast. I go have my steak. I still got my greens. And we got 4 different products, and it just exploded. Like 2 years ago, we launched, and we just merged with another company. Now we're about to take this thing all over the globe again. 56 countries physically, 200 countries. We're dealing with some digital products, so some cool stuff, man, is happening right now.
Wow. So, John, man, first of all, hold on, John. You've had obviously a storied career, right? Like you said, over $1 billion in sale worldwide. Entrepreneur,
Yeah.
So you've tapped into something that's very passionate about you, which is wellness and everything with OSNAP, right? Now, with everything that has gone with the pandemic and everything like that, what is your thoughts on the movement of the transformation of health and everything like that? Do you believe enough is being done where it comes to health-wise for just society in general?
Well, I think that we've got a system that's broken from the top down when it comes to health. All you got to do is look at the U.S. food pyramid, and you start to have some question marks there.
Right.
You look at go to your average hospital, like go to a hospital cafeteria. You would think a hospital cafeteria would be a healthy place, but man, they're selling Red Bulls and Coca-Colas and banana pudding and chocolate cakes, and I mean these are not healthy places. Sugar, man, we double our sugar consumption every single year, and it is killing us. On top of the chemicals now, just let me give you an example. The average cup of Starbucks has 29 different chemicals in it, and why would they do that? Well, it's cheaper to put man-made chemicals in there than to actually put coffee in. So it's really an experiment and how little coffee you can put in a cup and still make it taste like coffee. And
29
people say, well,
different
why would they do
chemicals
that?
in a Starbucks cup of coffee?
Bro, and I'm not even talking about, I didn't even get to the sugar yet. I didn't even get to, in the processed caffeine that they use on top of everything else. Well, why would they do that? Well, why would a cocaine dealer put Tylenol, baby powder, and fentanyl in cocaine? We sell this stuff by weight and by volume. And so people are just starting to catch on. When you look at like the former tobacco companies, Philip Morris and RJR Reynolds, they now own like Kraft Foods, Nabisco. They own the food companies. What do you think they're putting in our food? Same shit they put in the cigarettes to keep us coming back. It's all a process game for profit, and we play it, and we don't question it. We're feeding our kids ramen noodles and Kraft macaroni and cheese and processed food with MSG. I mean, for me, I'm very passionate about this because I see what it's doing, especially to our youth. We got the fattest, unhealthiest kids we've ever had in the history of our planet, and it's not getting better. So you got to tell me, man.
That's true.
We got kids being diagnosed with shit we never even seen before. Like this is a new day, because they ain't riding their bikes like we used to. They ain't going outside like we used to, and they're downing all this stuff, and they're not burning it off.
Right. The pandemic obviously was a game changer, right? Plus, the pandemic introduced like new illnesses and things like that, like you say, we're largely unprepared for, right? And, obviously I could see how the benefits and the movement of how products like Oh Snap is necessary in the marketplace, right? Because of what we're going through. And I want to obviously, you've had a great career and everything like that. And now with your movement and wellness, I want to ask you, do you attribute wellness as a major component to being successful in being an entrepreneur? Because again, you just mentioned we have a society now where, including myself, man, I'm carrying a little tank here, but is actually going out, being active, to be more conscientious of your health a major component in just being successful?
Well, let me tell you something that I figured out. It's very difficult to compete with a guy who's got 2 times the energy you have, 3 times the energy. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And where does energy come from? For me, like I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to run. It's tough for someone to keep up with me, and I go nonstop until I tell people I don't go to sleep. I fall asleep. Like I'm in the middle of a project. And I'm out, and I wake up drooling on my computer screen. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have a heart. If you're lethargic and you're going slow, I'm moving past you, and other people are too. And how do I maintain the energy? I don't do it by downing the chemicals and the Red Bulls and the Monsters. Now, I do it by feeding my system high caliber, high quality ingredients that provide the energy that my body needs. And so in the process, like I tell people, I used to do it the other way. I had energy, but it wasn't sustainable. Then I would have those crashes, because that's what's supposed to happen when you're poisoning your system. You get like cocaine, bro. I hate to keep coming back to cocaine, but cocaine gives you a up.
Right.
But
it does the job of that, right?
It gets you up, but if you ain't staying on it, you're going to have a serious crash. And now you got a bunch of downtime. And anyone that's experienced that knows what I'm talking about. So you can do it artificially only for so long, and your body will start to reject it. Your body will start to work against you. So that's why I'm about clean. I'm about, how do you do this clean? And if you do it clean and you don't have brain fog, and your mind is sharp, your body's moving, you're getting rid of your aches and pains. Cortisol, the same thing, bro. I had the same thing around my waist, man. I had this flat tire I had a hard time getting rid of. And a lot of that also came from stress, man. We're dealing with more stressful environments than ever before. Cortisol levels are through the roof. So I created products that actually fight that as well. Because I'm saying some people, are dieting and they're doing all the right things, but still having a hard time getting rid of some of this stuff.
Right.
And so there's some natural ways to address that. And since I did the research, I said, let me go out here and show the people I care about first. And I tell people all the time, man, I built this company for me to live longer. I'm on this forever living plan, because I was putting forever chemicals in my system that will never come out. And it's okay when you're in your 20s, okay in your 30s. But at some point, it accumulates to the point where your body, your thyroid, your hormones just can't deal with it anymore. And you don't realize it's because of years and years and years. It's not the one Big Mac that kills you. It's a combination over a period of time. It's not the one Red Bull that takes you out. It's a combination. At some point, your body just says, okay, enough is enough. Enough lead, enough of these chemicals, enough of this bullshit. You know, you've done enough damage. I've given you the chance to renew, to rejuvenate, and like people ain't sleeping. Yeah, you can do it. We all know we're not supposed to. You know what I'm saying? You know how you feel when you eat certain things. If that dairy makes you feel like shit and fucks up your diet, excuse my language, messes up your digest system, yeah, maybe you should stop. Maybe you should find alternatives. And most people just keep doing it, and then somehow they just magically expect it to change, or they think the healthcare system is going to somehow fix them when they jack themselves up, and it's only going to keep them alive long.
The healthcare system, do you think the government and the system is quote unquote playing a big part in this movement as far as putting wealth over health? Because again, a lot of the reason for the examples you gave from the Starbucks to the cigarette companies and even from the fast food companies, they're doing these things for the sake of profit, obviously, you know. And obviously what's on the reverse side is the health of society. And obviously that was exacerbated by COVID and everything. And regardless of how we feel about COVID, it also introduced of what the possibility could come again down the road of another potential deadly illness. So, you know, in the face of all of that, do you think the government plays a large responsibility, or some of these institutions and companies are playing a large responsibility of putting wealth over health?
Yeah, for sure. Follow the dollar. And then the other side of it is in top positions in our government when it comes to like these health positions, Secretary of Health, these positions, just go look at those people and you tell me. I mean, you can look at somebody and get a pretty good idea. Look in their eyes, look at their skin tone, look at their waistline, and you can start to say, is this the person that I would want teaching my kids about health and wellness? And somehow, you know, we just let this stuff go. And then you got to understand the food and drug industry are connected to each other, and it's big business. Just take like it's hard for the average person to fathom like a Pfizer corporation or a Merck or a Johnson & Johnson, the type of money that they bring in to create pharmaceutical drugs. It's hard for the average person to understand the magnitude, the dollars that are involved. And you're starting to see, I don't call it a healthcare system. I do believe there's a place for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not again, like you go break your arm, you want to, you need brain surgery. Right. You need it. But these are sick care systems, and they're now designed to keep us alive longer, not necessarily healthier. I know more and more people in their 40s and 50s that are on, they're just adding a new drug to their system now they got a cholesterol drug. Now they got a drug for this. Now they got a drug for that. And they're accumulating more and more drugs, and there's big money. That's big business. Keep us alive longer, but not necessarily healthier. There's no money. There's not big money, not that kind of money available in a snap pack. And me getting you to change your diet to superfoods and organic greens, like that kind of money, that's chump change to a company like Pfizer Corporation. And you can't patent a tree. You can't patent a natural product. You can't patent, a saw palmetto or some herbal type thing. So there's no money in it, man. But on the other side, there's big money in it.
Well, you know what? And now I want to take a step back now, John, because you started off, like you said, from the 15-year-old kid getting involved in the drugs and everything like that, and in and out with the law and everything like that. So, and then you've ended up becoming highly successful. Do you think genetics is, because a lot of people use background as a scapegoat, how their environment they grew up in, do you feel like that's a viable argument right there? Because you obviously been largely successful, right?
Yeah. I think your genetics loads the gun, but it's your environment that pulls the trigger. In other words, just because 5 people in your lineage has had a heart attack doesn't mean you have to be the 6th. Now that's the way it's been, because we're like, people sort of give up because, that's just in my DNA. That's just the way it is. Right. I think that's bullshit. I think that I can prove it in my own family. I have relatives that didn't even make it to be my age. And a lot of that had more to do with the health, had more to do with what they were putting in their mouth. had more to do with their lifestyle than anything else. And I see it all the time. We use it as an excuse. If you do kind of see it run the family, fat kids tend to have fat parents, and their parents before them were fat. And we sort of just accept it. And when finally, it's just like in business, like in my family, you couldn't find very successful people. It was steel workers and blue collar workers and things like I'm not saying that's not successful. My father was, he gave me a work ethic that's second
back then versus now, pretty much.
Different era. Yeah. And I made a decision. I got a tattoo says legacy, and it's real important to me to break that current legacy from a financial standpoint. But now the health legacy hasn't been good either. So look, I want to be living proof that you don't have to necessarily go with the flow, that you can break from the crowd. But it's not easy either. I'm telling you this, the discipline. Look, the discipline to skip certain things. Like I don't do dessert. I'm at a restaurant. Everyone around me is eating dessert. I don't do it. I don't eat.
Right.
Not that I don't want it. I want it. Look, I see that lava cheesecake thing with the vanilla ice cream on top. Man, I'm sweating just thinking about it. I want it.
Yeah.
My mouth is watering, but that's a place where I can say, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have the discipline to avoid that, because that extra 100 grams of sugar on top of the sugar that's in my ragu, spaghetti sauce. It's in every frozen pizza I've ever eaten. That's in my can of baked beans. That's in every damn thing that we consume. I just don't need to add any more to the already overloaded system that I have, period. Because it doesn't even matter if you say I don't like, remember, I don't know if back in the days you ever did this. I used to take like actual white sugar and put it on top of my cereal in the morning that already had sugar.
John, it's already loaded with sugar already.
We were next level. What do you think? I was getting arrested as a kid. I had way too much energy, man. It was way too much. I told my dad, I said, it's your fault, bro. You loaded us up. Our breakfast was basically dessert. It was a big ass bowl of sugar. And then my brother, we would put more sugar on top of it. And we were out of control. By the time we left the house, of course, we were going to have issues, man. We were going 1,000 miles an hour. And we already had energy as kids. It was insane.
Giving the teachers pure hell back then, huh?
Pure hell. I feel bad for them. But nowadays, I feel even worse because, man, they got so many, that's what it is, man. We that's what we're doing. That's what I did.
Right.
But so it takes discipline, man. It takes discipline to say no to something that your taste buds are now addicted to. It's hard to get people, like, my products have no sugar, no fake sugars. So I have a couple products that you take them, man, it ain't going to be, this ain't candy. This is real adult, change your life type nutrition. But your taste buds are used to something different. You're already addicted to something else.
Right.
So I'm literally helping people change their taste buds so that they can, because at some point when you get off of it and then you go eat something else, like, again, let me go back to cocaine. Your audience will be like, what the fuck? But when you detoxify from, say, cocaine, you get sick first. You go through withdrawals, like your body's craving it because you're addicted to it.
Right.
Same thing happens to people on sugar and other fried foods. They actually literally will go through similar type withdrawals when they start eliminating this stuff from their diet. Man, it's a trip, and you can see why people don't do it, because it's painful and it sucks. Just getting off of sleeping pills, getting off of like Z-Quil or Ambien or Xanax. People literally go through this terrible withdrawal thing trying to get off of that stuff. And that's why it's great for the drug companies, because very rarely do they ever actually get off of it. Once they're on, man, they usually got customers for life on this stuff.
Listen, guys, for more insight on how to grow your business as well as create your blueprint, I want you to visit blueprintstreet.com, blueprintstreet.com, and enjoy the network filled with entrepreneurs as well as successful business owners sharing all of their resources and knowledge to help you get to the next level. Guys, definitely check out blueprintstreet.com. And now let's get back to the video. Which I want to ask you something, John. So, mentioning that in the face of all that, in the era that we're in the era of social media, and because social media has also, played a harmful effect in the younger generation where, the young kids are wanting to go to the extreme of losing weight just because they want to go ahead and be that IG model or have that perfect body and everything like that, right? And we even seen in the
Yeah.
marketplace, there's an introduction of a new drug, a rapid weight loss drug. I don't know the name of it. I'm pretty sure you may know it. It's like, it's a drug that pretty much has been giving amazing results in a matter of weeks or so, right? So in the society where instant gratification is at an all-time high, right? And everybody's battling to get that perfect body, but yet don't want to go through the steps of doing so. How do you compete with that right now?
Yeah, it's difficult, man. The microwave kicked things off. Get rid of the crock pot. Let's microwave everything. I want it
Microwave
fast. I want it
babies,
now.
yeah.
We can't even wait for the dinger to ding on the microwave anymore. We're so impatient. Like I put in for 3 minutes, man. 2.2 is too long.
Say thank you to TikTok for that.
Man, TikTok. Well, and then we saw it with Twitter, right? We had to do shorter little, messages on Twitter,
Right.
and now you see TikTok. Everything is speed, fast. It's hard to compete with that, man. Of course, I want to take the pill that gives me a 6-pack set of abs. I don't want to do sit-ups if I don't have to.
Right.
But I'm telling you this. Yeah, man. And the challenge with that is we all know it violates the laws of nature. We all know it. And sooner or later something gives, because we have become a society that actually shuns nature and we embrace the unnatural. Look, bro, I see all the time. Girls go to Miami, get their new booties, get their whole bodies redone because they neglected them so bad. And now to keep up with, like you're talking about, they got to have the body looking right.
Right.
But they still go back to the same habits. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, they're going to have to go get it done again. Or what's even funnier to me, I watch these girls, they become personal trainers after they leave a surgery in Miami. All of a sudden now they're trying to teach you how to get right in the gym.
Everybody's
I'm like,
your yoga instructor now.
Exactly. It's like, come on now. That's a lie. But, maybe that's a better move because maybe they will actually get on a program. But most don't.
True. Yeah.
Most do the unnatural, and then they think they look great. 2 years later, they right back to what they were because they didn't solve the underlying issues, the discipline, the habits. What are your habits every day? Show me what your habits are every day, and I'll show you what your life looks like a year, 2 years, 5 years from now. What are you doing every day? What are your daily disciplines? Now, I can guarantee you, show me what you're doing when it comes to your business, to your savings, to your wealth. What habits are you working on right now? Because I'll tell you what your bank account's going to look like 5 years from now based on what you're doing today because otherwise you're going to lose it, or someone smart's going to come and take it from you. Somebody with wisdom is going to come and take that money from you at some point.
Wow.
I see it over and over. I see it in health. I see it in wellness.
You've hold on here, John, because you've went from, I guess it was a trajectory of, again, being a troublemaker. Then you went into the nightlife a little bit as far as when the entrepreneurship. You said you had some nightclubs and things like that. So I could kind of see, that field there. But like you said, you end up making that twist into wellness because of, you obviously realized you couldn't sustain that nightlife. It was going to end up, derailing you at some point in time and everything like that, right? So let me ask you, what are some of the struggles that you had to experience when you was making that transition? Because, not everybody can be John Malott. Not everybody can end up selling over $1 billion and becoming this internationally known, speaker and entrepreneur. So what's some of the hardships you had to go through?
Well, the first one is I had to first make a decision that, yes, John Malott was a drug addict. Yes, John Malott was a loser, dropout, criminal, gang member, reject, all those adjectives. I had to first make a decision that that's who I was. That's not who I am. And it's for sure not who I will be. So decision was number one. Most people don't have because they don't commit to a decision. So I committed to a decision that today was my last felony arrest. I was 24 years old, July 4th, 1993. July 4th, 1993. Sitting on the bullpen floor.
We talk off topic about how July 4th. But
off camera, we talked about that. Why July 4th has always been a weird holiday for me.
Right.
But sitting on the bullpen floor in the Milwaukee County Jail, for 4 days waiting to go to trial for something pretty severe. I really made the decision there, sitting on that floor, because two things kept playing in my mind as I was there. Something Dave said to me in drug rehab. He said, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, which I now have tattooed on my arm. And as I was being arrested in my house, my daughter at this time was 2 years old, and she doesn't know exactly what's going on, but she's freaking out. She's like, she knows the house is in disarray. I'm being disrupted even as I'm being let out of my house. But I look back and I caught her eye. Couldn't have been more than, I don't know, a couple, maybe 20 seconds tops, but it seemed like a lot longer. But sitting on that floor for 4 days in a miserable environment with hardened criminals all around me, I said, yes, I'm supposed to be a good man. I can't even take care of the one kid I got, much less children's children. Yeah. So that's where everything changed for me. And then I realized, okay, the decision is one thing, but then the next piece was the discipline. I had to lose friends in this process, bro. Like, it's one of the hardest things for me was I had my guys, man. These were my people. Like, I couldn't be around them anymore because I had asked myself, what am I doing when I'm in this environment? How am I behaving? What am I becoming? What do these people have me, saying? And I realized, man, I had to cut them, and I had to cut them out of my life because they weren't necessarily contributing to the good side. Some of the funnest people. If you want to go out and have a good time, man, you roll with these guys. Right. But if you want to change your life and start, putting more zeros to your bank account, it ain't gonna be with them. And that was hard, losing friends. People laughed in the beginning because when I was making are you rich yet? I'm like, bro, are you rich, man? You still in the same damn neighborhood.
It's like, are you rich?
I got friends in their 50s. Yeah, I got friends in their 50s right now, man. They're about exactly the same, other than the way they look, and they're a lot frailer now than they were, but they're doing the same shit we were doing when we were teenagers. And that would be me. My brother, I love my brother to death, but he ain't changed much from those days.
You could take the horse to the water. You can't force him to drink. We all know that, right? So,
man, yeah. I love that quote. I love that quote.
Now, and John, okay, which leads me to a second point, because you obviously highlight, number one, making the decision. That was, of course, the two D's, decision and discipline, right? Yeah. Now, I think there's also another missing component, which I hope you could highlight on, which is family. You have a beautiful wife, young, and a lot of people may not be aware she's also different color, right? African American, if I'm not mistaken. So, and yep. So you're obviously, again, you're like, you started the conversation. You didn't raise up in the traditional norm. You're not in the box, right? Even now, 55 years old, no. I could just tell by your spirit, you have the spirit of a 30-year-old, right? So if you could share with everybody, how much has family, you having a beautiful wife, 4 daughters, now having expected a child coming, how much have that played into your success as well, too?
Well, that's my reason why. That's my reason why to be alive. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want to be here. I don't just want to be here. I don't want people pushing me around, on July 4th with a blankie around me and drool coming down my lips. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be frail. When my grandson is born, I want to be running, throwing the football around. I want to see all of my, I just was in South Carolina for my oldest daughter's wedding, last year. I was the wildest dude on the dance floor the entire night, with my daughters.
And having down. There you go, John.
I was watching guys, half my age that were, couldn't hang. I want to be that guy, man. And again, that comes back to the same energy that I want to bring to my family, is the same energy I bring to my businesses, the same energy I bring to my relationships. And then I partnered with a powerhouse. My wife is a beast. From an entrepreneurial, I've never seen anybody more disciplined. I mean, she does not miss the gym no matter what. That's just, I don't care if she's not feeling good. I don't care if we went out. I don't care if we were on vacation. Her dedication and commitment there. And then when it comes to building a business, she understands that it does take that discipline. There's things you have to do, and they have to be in order. before I, like, she's the reason why this happened. Like today, she makes sure that everything is in order the way it's supposed to be. I'm like fire, ready, aim, where she's like, okay, let me help you get some shit in order.
Yeah, let's go
So
ahead
we're
and
just not
coordinate a little bit here.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Me on my own devices, I'm a disaster. But when I have someone that doesn't compete with me but completes me, that's a whole nother ball game. Like the
Wow.
world is ours.
I like
In my opinion, even though it's weird that a lot of people in society see our relationship as off or weird, we get a lot of weird hate about it.
that. I
But
could
the
imagine
way I
that. I
see it,
could imagine that.
it's insane. And it's just ignorant. You know what? Where does it come from? Where does hate come from? It usually comes from ignorance more than anything. And so we get a lot of ignorant people, that are, will blatantly say stuff to us. And it's always fascinating to me that people are that closed-minded, that ignorant.
Especially this day and age
But
where we're a society where inclusiveness is at an all-time high. We're a big mixing melting pot. So that's crazy. But yeah, go ahead.
it is crazy, man. We're so interconnected today, whether we want to believe it or not. I mean, we just really are. I mean, and I think there's agendas that are at work to try to keep you and I separated. I think we're so far past this separation thing now that most of us embrace each other's differences. I don't like. I never saw. I grew up in a neighborhood where me and my brother, we look different than most of the people in our neighborhood. So
Okay. So I would say
maybe I
somewhat in the hood, pretty much. Let's put it like that. Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely yeah. There was two young white boys running. We had red hair, pale skin, running around a neighborhood where everybody was way darker than we were. But it didn't really. I mean, it seemed normal because I didn't know.
Didn't take it as offense to nothing. You just, hey, man, I'm just hanging out with the
No,
rest of the kids. That's it. There you go.
no. Other than all of my heroes were darker than me. Like again, coming up like Michael Jordan. I thought I looked like Denzel Washington. I mean, it was just I go on and on. Like Ice Cube and Tupac. These were my heroes, man. I didn't have a lot of heroes from actors to entertainers that were my color complexion. So that's what I saw. That's just
Right.
it was from the environment that I came up in. It doesn't matter if you're dropped off as a young person in a particular environment, you will become that environment. It doesn't.
Period.
It makes no difference. Period. End of story. But for me, I think there's advantages. Like my wife and I cover so much ground. Let's just say from the black to the white thing.
Right.
There's a lot of ground you can cover in there. You know what I'm saying? Then educate. She's highly educated. I'm not. I'm a high school dropout. There's a lot of ground we cover because she can cover the highly educated. I cover all the dropouts. There's a
She's
lot
a little
of
younger, you're a little older, so that's also boom.
there's a lot again for me. Not I didn't go into it thinking from any other perspective other than I saw her on those steps that night and I was like, dang, all right.
Hey,
We
hello.
need to have a further conversation. So it started from that. But I had been around a lot of beautiful women prior to that. But there was something more when it came to her entrepreneurial spirit, her mind, what she wanted to do. She had goals. Like I met a lot of young women that didn't have a lot of goals, that didn't have a lot of purpose. I met a lot of young women they wanted transactional relationships, not transformational relationships. So
Mm.
that led to me, a guy that said I would never get married again. I'm not a dummy, but I realized what I had. I had a woman who wanted transformation and who was willing to pay the price and wanted to pay the price, had the discipline, and she was already an entrepreneur. I said, dang, if we join forces, it's over. The world don't know what's coming at them. And that's what happened. When
Wow.
and together, her and I came up with the whole Snap Pack idea, and we created 4 major products that move the needle in people's health and wellness. And then for some people, because we're building these brand ambassadors, it's moving the needle now in their finances. We're helping people get wealthy. On top of it, we're teaching them entrepreneurship and leadership and discipline. We're teaching them how to brand themselves. We're teaching them marketing and accounting, financial, fiscal responsibility for their finances. It's not what you make. What are you keeping? And then is that money working for you while you sleep? So we teach the people we care about that help us move the products. We take them so far beyond just making some money. It's like, let me teach you how to become a better person. Let me teach you how to become better with your money. Let me show you how to one day walk away and have your bills paid for the rest of your life. That's our heart and our passion now. And
Yeah,
it's been
because
beautiful.
your mission, if I'm not, is to transform, mind, body, and bank accounts, right?
That's
And
it.
and obviously the body with the product, and the personal development and the bank accounts comes with leveraging what everything you just mentioned there. And so if you could touch on a little bit about your mentorship, and if I'm not mistaken, you're at 1,000 mentees now. You've touched up until this point.
Well, it was called Empire Builders. It was our mentoring program,
Right.
and we had there's been thousands and thousands. I also own Build Your Empire, which is the Instagram page. I don't know. We probably got 1.2 million followers there. We use that a lot for our entrepreneurial events. That's where I would bring in like the Grant Cardones, the Ty Lopez's, the Brad Lees. We've had some of the biggest entrepreneur names come across our stages. These names most people know today.
Right.
Pre-pandemic, that was kind of our deal. We were putting on these entrepreneur shows. I've been on stages in front of 30,000 people in South Korea. Teaching entrepreneurship to our Korean ambassadors. So in the end, probably millions of people now have seen our material in one form or another. So mentoring was a big deal. But when we launched Oh Snap Active Lifestyle, I said, you know what I'm gonna do? Instead of charging people for me to mentor them, I'm gonna give it to them for free. Become an affiliate for free. Costs you nothing to become an affiliate. And I'll teach you I'll teach you the branding, I'll teach you the leadership, I'll teach you how to scale a business, all the things that I taught that people paid big money for. Businesses paid me for consulting for. I give it to our guys for free, our guys and our girls for free inside of our environment. I said, you know what? Because I can't ride two horses. I can't chase two rabbits. So I said, I'm going to make our affiliates the baddest affiliates, bad meaning good, not bad meaning bad, affiliates on the planet. Period. Point blank. These guys are going to become bulletproof. They're going to go out here and change the world.
So your
And they're going to
experience
first
obviously is
transform.
their wisdom.
Man, my work ethic, my downfalls, my pain, my money, my resources, all that stuff has become their benefits, because it's like, look, you're going left. I already went left. Don't go left.
Right.
Start veering to the right a little bit.
There you
And
go.
that's why when we came up with the transforming the minds, the bodies, and the bank, I said, first, we got to transform people's minds. Get the mind right.
First.
And then you start thinking more about the body. Get the body right, and you got the energy and you got the stamina. You can't help but get the bank account right. People are trying to get the bank account right, and they're not addressing some of the other issues. So you might get a pop. People get lucky. I say even a blind chicken finds feed from time to time, but if you get these other pieces right, it can never be taken away from you. No bad economy, no bad boss, no bad whatever. I don't care who the president is. You think I care who the president is? You think it's going to change my economy, whether it's a Republican or Democrat? You guys can argue with each other, hate each other all day long. I could care less who's living in the White House. Like I'm building my own personal account. I'm building my own empire based on the rules that are provided to me by whoever's in charge at the time. So I know what the tax laws are. I know how to operate with them. You know what I'm saying? And it won't matter if the Republicans create new laws. I'll figure out how to operate within those laws. It doesn't matter. We put too much emphasis and we let them live rent free in our minds. And then if someone doesn't have the same opinions, now they're in our minds. Now we got more hate for someone else. And that just clogs up all kinds of shit and prevents you from becoming what you could become. Anyways, yeah, don't get me down to political stuff neither. Like, whew, that's a whole nother topic we go down. And
But you know what? But I do want to keep up with your energy though, John, and everything. So, what's extraordinary about you, because not only you're, like I said, you're tapping into the wellness, but you're also leveraging all of your experience into getting individuals to that next level and everything like that. So again, this is a business platform where a lot of our viewers, they're between the ages, where they have a 9 to 5, they have some kids right now, some of them may be stuck in a midlife crisis, especially after the pandemic, right? Because the pandemic forced a lot of us to kind of recalibrate our careers a little bit here. So knowing who's viewing right now, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying, wow, okay, Man, I see this old Snap product here, and wow, he's actually can give me an opportunity to actually not take myself to the next level financially, but also mind and body as well too. So, what
Yeah.
is the if you were to speak to the audience right now, what are two or three ingredients to get them out of the rut they're in right now that you would like to share?
Well, first off, let me tell you this, that a lot of people have their full-time livings, and I
Right.
was taught by a guy by the name of Jim Rohn, who Jim Rohn had an incentive to teach me some things very early on because he earned an override if I did well. And at the time, I didn't know I was sitting at the feet of greatness. But Jim Rohn said a couple of things. He said, number one, the power is in the part-time story. And he taught me the power is in the part-time story. And what do you mean by what did he mean by that? He said, continue to work your living in your full-time, but figure out a way to make your fortune in your part-time. You don't get mad at your job. Use your job as the reason to become successful. So, in other words, he was saying, use the pain of that job as, look, I got to do it. It's not the end, it's the means to the end. I was a janitor working for General Electric. You think I like my job? People, I walked in there, nobody was clapping.
Right.
People, most people didn't even acknowledge me, and it was always disrespect. It was a disrespectful environment.
Right.
But that motivated me to build something, side hustle, we call it today. We didn't call it then, side hustle didn't exist back then. I just knew I didn't want to do that forever. I didn't want to scrub another man's toilets for the rest of my
Right.
life. It
Obviously,
was
right.
grating. And even if I know people have good jobs, the pay's great, but they still hate it. They still serve somebody else. They still are underneath the thumb of another man or another woman, and they hate it. They're stressed out because of it. So I say, look, start making those changes now. That's why I built a whole system around part-time. I tell most people, you wouldn't even know what to do if you were a full-time entrepreneur. So why not build something part-time and start learning like everything I do is systematic because I want freedom more than anything. For me, it's not about money. It's I want to be like McDonald's, man. McDonald's doesn't need a guy in a three-piece suit hard closing people on a Big Mac. It's
Good
like,
point,
you know what I'm saying? It's push button. This is what you do. Burger boy in the back knows cheeseburger, yellow wrapper, filet of fish, and the turquoises. I haven't been there a while, but that's how it used to be.
right.
It's all systematic. You could take a 17-year-old running McDonald's in Chicago. You could put him in Orlando, Florida, and he does the
And
same.
plug
It's
and
exactly
play.
the same. That's how
Right.
you could scale it. So I said, what if I could build a business like that? Scale it, teach people a systematic approach. They implement the system. It helps them get free first. I receive an override. They get the biggest chunk of the money, but I get an override. What if I do that 1,000 times? What if I do that 10,000 times? I did that 327,000 times with my previous company. Of course, that's going to pay me millions and millions of dollars. When I made $10 million, though, my team made 100 million. I flipped the script. People like, I said, look, you get the money first. I got this thing set up where I'm going to teach you. I just want a little piece. My friend Brad Lee would say, a piece for my niece. I just want a little slice. And that was it. And let me help you get the bigger piece. And at some point, when your part-time income here exceeds your full-time income there, you now live in a world of I choose to, no longer in a world of I have to, like everybody else.
Right.
And I was big on that because that was me, miserable, felt stuck. And so, I gave you a lot, maybe more than what you were looking
There
for
you
a
go,
couple
but
things,
no,
but that whole piece, that's what changed everything. When I realized, what did I want more? I had to evaluate. What do I want? What is it? Money? Then I had to work backwards. It's not the money itself, but it was what the money could do for me, man. I wanted more time with my kids. I wanted to go to.
Money's not fulfilling all the time unless there's a purpose or a meaning behind it, obviously, right?
Man, I have a lot of rich friends that chase the almighty dollar every day, and they're miserable. They still don't see their kids. They got millions. But you know what? Today they're stuck in an office. They might own that office, but they're still as trapped today with millions. Their kids don't know them. Kids don't see them. They're going to be in that office till 9, 10 o'clock tonight. That's not freedom to me. I never want that. I never, ever wanted that. I'm in my house right now. I don't know what day is it today. Today's Wednesday.
Right.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I sleep until I'm done sleeping. I'm allergic to cubicles. I have no interest in sitting in an office. I teach my people you don't have to sit in the office. The pandemic showed people you got all these tools now that have been created because of the pandemic.
Yep.
that now allow you to build a Fortune 500 type business. I built systems that you press buttons on an app. Don't try to sell everybody. I say less to more people. Build yourself an empire, systematically driven, and now you can do it all over the world for free. For free. I'll be talking to my team tonight. There'll be people on that Zoom from all over the world. I'm talking to them for free. I couldn't do that 10 years ago.
Wow.
There has never been a better time to
Even
build
us
something
having
than
this
right
conversation couldn't happen 10 years ago. Yeah.
now. Think about that, brother. I would have had to come to you or you come to me. There was just no way
Right.
this was going to work. And that's why I'm telling you, you can make excuses or you can make money, but you can't make both. And if you do this right, there's so many simple pieces. And there's guys like you that are doing shows like this, giving people free game. Like, let me give you free game. People, you have to go get a book at least. You have to at least buy a book, and then you'd have to actually read it. And I had a mentor one time said, he said the best way to, I had a mentor said the best way to keep information away from Americans is put it in a book. Most people won't even read a book to save their lives. But you make it easy, man. Just tune in. All you got to do is listen, pay attention, get rich. I mean, it's all here for us.
You know what, John?
Anyways, I love it, man.
You know, I want, before we wrap up though, a lot of people, that's now going to end up following you. They're going to end up wanting to know what's more about OSNAP and everything like that. So, I want to ask one final question here, and and it goes back to family, because again, I'm a family man too. Again, I just
I love that.
reiterate a little bit. I had a troubled background again, and until I end up making that transformational moment like you have, and a major piece of that was family. So now I have a beautiful girl. I have 4 kids, and now I use that as a major driving force, as the impetus for my business now. Now, you, on the other hand, you have created a family brand, right? With you and your wife now. So you being highly successful on your own to now making that transition to now having a brand shared with your wife, how has that been, and how have you been able to make that transition as well, too?
There's a song, I think it's by Fabulous, and it goes something like, I'm good all by myself, but girl, baby, you make me better.
Oh, he quoted Fabulous, y'all. Okay.
The great philosopher Fabulous once said. And that's really what is I really believe men, and women, but I can only speak from a man's standpoint, and just like you, we are better because and I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are, and I'm not the person.
That's it. Absolutely.
There you go. I believe in God, and I believe there's a book, and I think there's a lot of great books about spirituality, but almost all of them, the ancient scripts, I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Jehovah's Witness, Christian, Jewish, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Almost all of those books were written long before we were around. And there's some wisdom in there about the family and keeping the family together, and men and women working together to, again, complete each other. Because there's things that you and I have clearly. We're men. And when women try to emasculate us, when they try to emasculate their men, they're not helping themselves. They might get some weird satisfaction from that stuff. But when we're allowed to be men and do what we're there's some things that we're hardwired to do. Protect is one of them. You know what I mean? There's some things that we're supposed to do.
Protector as men, that's our responsibilities, right?
And if we are embraced for doing that, and if we're empowered, and if we're in a lot of ways praised for doing that, we'll do more of it. It will do it better. And you know what I mean? And that usually comes from a feminine power to lift and empower and equip the family,
because they're the emotional creatures that provide that for us. You're right.
1,000%. And I'll tell you what, a spiritual brother of mine, Miles Monroe, God rest his soul. Miles Monroe, one time, I was in a seminar in Dallas with him and T.D. Jakes. A lot of these guys were in there, but Miles really stuck out to me. I was very early in my spiritual walk. Miles said that let's take real estate for a second.
Right.
In real estate, they have zoning laws. We all know there's zoning stuff, and there's certain things that have to happen. Like, if a window's cracked, they're not going to condemn the house. If some shingles are falling off the roof, they're not going to condemn the house. You
Right.
get me? But he said if the foundation is jacked up, if the foundation is bad in the house, they might condemn that house. And here's what he said that hit me hard. He said, men are the foundation of the family. And we, some of us have a twisted belief that I'm the man, do what I say, you're underneath me type thing. And he said, no.
Right.
He said, our job is to lift and support. Our women need to know if they fall, we got them. Our kids, you know, if they fall, daddy's got you. You know what I mean? That we're not supposed to be running around, I'm the man, do what you're told, sit, shut up, you know, that type of thing, which a lot of men mistakenly think I'm the man of the house. That's what I'm supposed to do. When I caught that, because that was kind of my dad. My dad kind of ran, you know, he did what the hell he wanted when he wanted, because he was the man of the house. It was his house. He paid the bills. He made sure y'all knew it. I took a different approach after learning from Miles Monroe. I'm the foundation. I want to empower and equip. I want them to be the best. I want her to be the best wife she can possibly be. I want my kids to be the best kids they can possibly be. It's my responsibility then to bring that out, but to protect. You try to come in my doors and you have not been invited, then I know immediately what my job is to be. You know what I'm saying? And then when the mortgage is due, I know I'm proud to say I'm going to make sure that the mortgage gets covered. You know, and there were days in the past that wasn't easy to do. You know, now, you know, it becomes different. We all can relate to that. You know, I mean, it can be stressful covering a rent, covering a car payment. But man, if we're working together in the family, it's hard. It's hard to beat a family together. It's hard to beat a family that's on the same page. Even me getting my kids involved early on in some of the bit, like daddy's going to be gone today because of this. I'm working on Costa Rica or I'm working on Disney World. So I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to go on a business trip or whatever. We all were in it together. We created dream boards together and we all started thinking about, man, and the kids started catching on to entrepreneurship.
Early.
Like, oh, I see it early.
Yeah.
And now I got entrepreneurial kids, which is kind of cool because if if they don't want to work a job, they got options and they can do whatever they want. You know, roller skate, become a doctor, run a business. I don't care. Just do it. Just be the best at it. Do it with excellence. Do it with pride. Anyways,
there you go.
That's my take on family.
And of course, that, you know, we want our kids to have the things we never had and not go through the hardships we had to go through and everything like that. Which, you know, by the way, John, you know, this have been a tremendous episode. You know, a lot of the audience have gotten a lot away, not just from business, but also in the personal development side and the wellness side. And also we've tapped into the relationship, how all of that are ingredients that needs to be put in the pot to cultivate and also make that recipe of success, right? And before we leave though, you know, of course we've talked about your O-Snap product, which is, you know, like you said, four brand products that's not tap you into wellness, all natural, you know, being able to give you all of the elements you need to be able to go ahead and become the best version of yourself. So if you could share with everybody, since we have 6 more months at the end of this year, what's upcoming for John Malott as well as the O-Snap family as well too?
Well, we made a strategic alliance with a company, a major brand. They're doing almost $300 million a year. They saw what we were doing as a new up and coming company. There's a lot of synergies philosophically in alignment. I met the owners of that company, and we just clicked. And I realized it just made a lot of sense for us to come together. It was a win-win for everybody involved. So you can see us, especially over the next 6 months, really moving our company, our product, our brand affiliates into other countries around the world. 200 countries we now have access to because of them. I was only available in 2. We just opened that up to 200. So you could be in Africa, you could be in India, Germany. We probably have an opportunity for you no matter where you are in the world, or you might know people. And there's some cool things happening there. So I'm going to focus heavily on our international development. So you'll probably see some stories of me snapping packs and cashing checks in other countries.
Dope. Love that. Yeah. Snapping packs and cashing checks. I like that.
Yes, sir.
Well,
that's what
John,
we're doing, man.
Thank you for definitely coming on by. You know, for all the audience here, you know, definitely I want you guys to check out John and O-Snap, because not only will it be beneficial for your mind and your body, but also your bank account too, because you can become an affiliate and you'll be able to tap into a lot of the wisdom that John has been sharing to have him become the international superstar that he is right now. And John, before we end the show, go ahead and let everybody know where they can follow you, so therefore they could tap into you, as well as where they can follow on the OSNAP products as well too.
Yeah, I now handle all my own social media. I do that. So if you do send me a message, I do answer all my DMs. It just takes time sometimes, so just bear with me. Instagram is my first and last name, John Malott, Malott. That's 1 L 2 T's. John Malott, Malott. And the same thing, Facebook. Those are the two main platforms. I'm a TikTok sensation. I do these funky dances every now and then.
Okay.
More in my mind than in reality, right. But we have fun. My wife and I do some crazy stuff on TikTok. So from time to time, it's fun. Okay. But Instagram, Facebook, just look for John Malott, last name Malott. And then OSNAP. If you come to my page, you're going to find OSNAP, because I live, eat, and breathe. I don't do anything that I'm not passionate about, that I don't live. So you'll find us there. It's O, and it's O without the H. So OSNAP, Active Lifestyle. OSNAP, Active Lifestyle is what we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, definitely check out OSNAP Active Lifestyle. I can say I've actually tried his product, the Espresso, about 6-7 months ago from a mutual friend that we talked about off air and everything like that. So I can actually genuinely share with everybody. It's an extraordinary product. Gave me a little boost for about 2-3 hours afterwards, but I definitely felt the effects of it. So I highly encourage everybody to try it out. And guys, thanks for definitely tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's show, check out the show notes. The links to John as well as the OSNAP Active Lifestyle will be in the show notes. And as always, guys, check us out on Spotify every Thursday, 6 p.m. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you on the flip side. Hey, shout out to our sponsor, Uptrend Credit. Listen, if you're having a hard time understanding how credit works, or you want a better understanding of how to boost your credit, you definitely want to check out Uptrend Credit on learning how to leverage your credit to hit your goals. Now, Uptrend Credit is an easy-to-use credit monitoring platform that's utilized to help close the wealth gap with the right resources in helping you doing so. So definitely check out uptrendcredit.com to see how you can help stay on top of your financial goals. Now let's get back to the video.